Assalamu alaikum, dear ninth class students. My today's topic is Palanquin Bearers written by Sarojini Naidu. Dear students, हिंदी या उर्दू में इसे पालकी कहते हैं तो पन्ने माजे मज अत डूल वनान। पुराने ज़माने में दुल्हन को इसी में लिया जाता था। ये लकड़ी का बना हुआ एक संदूक जैसा होता था और इसको डेकोरेट किया जाता था मुख्तलिफ चीज़ों से, फ्लावर से या बाकी चीज़ों से। Dear students, this poem is written by Sarojini Naidu. Before reading the poem, let's know about Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu, 1879-1949, Indian poet, was born into a Bengali Brahmin family in Hyderabad. With her father a scientist and her mother a poet, she grew up surrounded by artists, intellectuals and revolutionaries. A brilliant student, she entered Madras University at the age of 12, about the time she began also to write poetry. In 1895, she was sent to England to study at King's College, London and Girton College, Cambridge, before poor health forced her to abandon her studies and returned home. In 1925, Sarojini Naidu became the first Indian woman to be elected as the president of the Indian National Congress, and continuing her active participation in Gandhi's program of Satyagraha, a non-violent form of protest, was jailed on several occasions by the British. Her published poetic works include The Golden Threshold 1905, The Bird of Time 1912, The Broken Wing 1917, Selected Poems 1930, The Separated Flute 1937, with introduction by Joseph Auslander, and The Feather of the Dawn 1961. Many of her speeches have also been published. Dear students, the poem beautifully compares the bride to numerous images. The bride is carried to a palanquin, which was until recently a part of Indian culture. Dear students, the poem The Palanquin Bearers, composed by Sarojini Naidu, deals with an age-old Indian custom of carrying a newly wedded woman or any other lady of higher birth or a noble family inside a wooden chamber termed as palanquin to her husband's residence or to whichever place the lady wishes to be taken to. This is a time period before the advent of motor vehicles and highways, when powerful and rich families favored the service of palanquins for long distances traveling for the women of their house. The practice of delivering women to their destinations was prevalent in certain parts of India for ages. It is pertinent to say here that the poet must have been fascinated by the imagery of the palanquin being handled by a group of men deputed to the task to make sure that the traveling woman made the transition from the place of origin to the place of termination without the slightest discomfort. Dear students, now let's read the poem. Lightly, oh lightly, we bear her along. She sways like a flower in the wind of our song. Dear students, before reading the poem, I think we must understand the meaning of some new words. Skim, it means glide smoothly over something. Second one is sway, it means move from side to side. And third one is foam. Foam means a mass of very small bubbles formed on the surface of a liquid. Next one is galley, it means merrily, happily. Another one is glide, it means to move easily without stopping and without effort or noise. Next one is dew, it means drops of water that form on the ground and other surfaces inside, outside during the night. Next one is beam. Beam means a light, a line of light that shines from a bright object. Another one is brow. It means the top part of a hill or the edge of something high, such as a cliff or rock. Now let's read the poem. Lightly, oh lightly, we bear her along. She sways like a flower in the wind of our song. Dear students, the poet has used the poetic device of simile so many times in the poem. In these lines, the poet says, the Palanquin Bearers carry the newly wedded bride in a palanquin. They sing as they carry the bride to her in-laws' house. They tell us that the bride is very light to carry. They don't feel it as a burden. The bride moves softly according to the movement of the palanquin and the Palanquin Bearers' song. The bride's swaying is compared with a flower's movement in wind. Now let's go ahead. She skims like a bird on the foam of a stream. She floats like a love from the lips of a dream. Now the bride's movement is compared with a bright bird's skimming. Birds touch the foam of a stream slightly and fly away. Likewise, the bride moves slightly. She is very light and so she is said to be floating like a dreamy smile from the lips of a person who dreams. Her movement is so delicate and beautiful. The bride seems to be happy as her movement is compared with a laugh. Gaily, oh gaily, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. The Palanquin Bearers carry the bride gaily. Gaily means very happily, even when they glide high grounds. They are not burdened, and so they proceed with their singing. They say that the bride is carried like a pearl on a string. She is as precious as a pearl. Softly, oh softly, we bear her along. She hangs like a star in the dew of our song. They carry her, the delicate bride, softly in their palanquin. She is seated in the palanquin like a bright star and heeds to the Palanquin Bearers. Their song reflects her happiness like a dew drop reflects a star's light. Their happy song shows they are as happy as the bride. She springs like a beam on the brow of the tide. She falls like a tear from the eye of a bride. The bride moves like a beam of light that springs when it gets reflected by waves. The bride's movement is also compared with the slow falling of a tear from the eyes of a bride. Though the bride is delighted to visit her in-laws' house, she feels sad for her situation. She is getting separated from her parents. She has the mixed feeling of joy and pain. Lightly, oh lightly, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pole on a string. The Palanquin Bearers continue to carry the bride who is as precious as a pearl on a string. They didn't cease their song as they carry the bride lightly. They travel far away, gliding rough paths. Nevertheless, they never feel sad or burdened by carrying the beautiful bride. Dear students, this is enough for today. We will talk about the exercise and the poetic devices in next video. So far, stay connected.